What is it?
The stuff that dreams are made of.
Huh?
The stuff dreams are made of. Tonight's show is all about the stuff dreams are made of. I'm going to release because Mia, who's my floor director, my director, and my daughter, my film kind of kindred spirit, said, "What's your 10 favorite films? What's your 20 favorite films?" So this is this show dedicated to Mia, and because she kind of forced me to do this, and it's really hard to do this because I've already cheated. I said 10, and you're going to get a baker's dozen, but I have, well, you'll see where I'm going to go with this. And I've already realized that the list is faulty because I don't have something on there that was just in the opening credits. These are films that I absolutely love. I'm not saying they're the greatest films of all time, although I'm saying some of them are the greatest films of all time. But it's my favorite right now as of this, like, half-hour period. Next half hour, I might change a few. I can do a list of 1,000 films, and that's really a more secure place for me to be, because then I can fit everything in that I really love, and not a lot of sequels in there, although there's a sequel in this one. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we officially broke a record today. We're banned in 248 countries, and there are only 189 on the planet. So I don't know how that's like new math. But we are going to try to come to you because I think this show has some great value, and we're going to be, our sponsors tonight are Eric at Eric's Auto, and we have Bookstore One, and we have Andrew Ford at Sarasota State Auction, and we have some new folks coming on board. But without further ado, I was telling Mia in the opening here, we have the first, with number 13 on my list, because that's where I'm going to start. Baker's Dozen, which is 13 films. That's the best I could do. I couldn't do 10, because I already cut out, I can't even believe I'm saying this, Young Frankenstein is not on this list. That, to me, is the funniest film of all time, Young Frankenstein. It's so funny. It's Mel Brooks, who's still with us. He's an EGOT winner, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. It's not even on my list, and it is. I've seen the movie 100 times. I can't believe I didn't put it on there. Comedy is hard, though, and it really, it's a priceless, timeless classic. But it's not on my list. But this film is on my list. I started with a man who never won a Best Director Oscar. Can you believe this? Alfred Hitchcock never won a Best Director Oscar. He directed 1958, a little film called Vertigo. 1959, North by Northwest. And in 1960, he changed Hollywood forever, and is 61 years old today. Psycho with the great Janet Leigh, the creepy Anthony Perkins. My number 13 is Psycho.
Here we have a quiet little motel, when in fact it has now become known as the scene of the crime.
You have a vacancy?
Oh, we have 12 vacancies.
You know, this is the first place that looks like it's hiding from the world.
I think that we're all in our private traps, clamped in them. And none of us can ever get out.
Is anyone at home? Oh, that must be my mother.
Is anything wrong?
Am I acting as if there's something wrong?
She's not missing so much as she's run away.
Put me down. Mother! Oh, God! Mother!
What are you running away from?
She looked like a wrong one to you?
It's not as if she were a maniac. She just goes a little mad sometimes.
Why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
Wow. You know, that movie changed the way people took showers. Some people never took a shower after that. Janet Leigh never took a shower after that film. She bathed, but she never took a shower. And the Bates Motel, I got to tell you something. Those little mom and pop little places off the side of the road, man. I'm not stopping. I'm going to Red Roof Inn at the worst, okay? I got to have people around me. I'm not going to that place. Oh, my God. That movie still holds up. It is, you know, it's the music alone is a masterpiece. Please see it. It's one of my top 13, my baker's dozen. The next film is a film that I share near and dear to my heart because I happen to be able to interview the director. And he is one of the great directors, I think, of the last 25, 30 years. This is a film that is always on television, and I dare you to turn it off. I dare you to turn this film off. It is a prison picture. It's based upon a short story by the very great writer Stephen King, who lives in our Sarasota area. And, of course, I speak of the wonderful Timothy Robbins, Morgan Freeman, prison film, Shawshank Redemption. I can't turn this film off. Got to get busy living, get busy dying. It is just a masterpiece. Frank Darabont is the director I speak of. I got the chance to interview him. My buddy Mark Vance went to high school with him. Mark, if you're watching out there, thank you for that opportunity. One of my great thrills was to interview Frank Darabont, one of the sweet cats, great filmmakers of all time. This is Shawshank Redemption. I tell you, I want to watch this when I get home. That's how good it is. Take a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard all the evidence. I submit that this was not a hot-blooded crime of passion. Consider this. A revolver holds 6 bullets, not 8. That means that he fired the gun empty and then stopped to reload.
By the power vested in me by the state of Maine, I hereby order you to serve 2 life sentences back to back. 1 for each of your victims. So be it.
Send you here for life? That's exactly what they take.
I believe in 2 things. Discipline.
Help me down!
And the Bible. Here you'll receive both.
Andy came to Shawshank Prison in 1947. Why'd you do it?
I didn't, since you asked.
You gonna fit right in. I must admit, I didn't think much of Andy the first time I laid eyes on him. He had a quiet way about him. A walk and a talk that just wasn't normal around here.
There are places in the world that aren't made out of stone. There's something inside they can't touch.
What are you talking about?
Hope.
Let me tell you something, my friend. Hope is a dangerous thing.
Damn it, Dufresne, you're putting me behind!
Hope can drive a man insane.
You better be sick or dead in there, I kid you not!
You better get used to that idea.
Oh, my holy God.
I guess it comes down to a simple choice, really. Get busy living, or get busy dying.
Get busy living, or get busy dying. That's damn right.
Get busy living or get busy dying. You know, that music, Jay was talking about on the break here, the music is haunting, the cinematography, the direction is sublime, the screenplay, the screenplay which the great Frank Darabont wrote as well as directed is so fabulous. The next film I'm going to deal with is a Sidney Lumet classic. He made 4 4-star pictures. They're perfect films. One is The Verdict, one is The Network, one is Dog Day Afternoon, and this one is a film I fell in love with. Every juror that ever goes to serve our political system, our judicial system, should see this film as a precursor, as a first step. Because you don't mail it in, you go and you serve your fellow man. The jury system, one of the great things about our country. our judicial system. This is from the 1950s. I believe it's 1950. I have to check, to be honest with you. 1950. Oh God, 58. I want to say 1958. It's Henry Fonda. 1957. I was close. Henry Fonda. This is a great cast. E.G. Marshall, Lee J. Cobb, Ed Begley Jr., Jack Klugman, on and on and on. 12 Angry Men. It is a Jack Warner. It's fabulous. It's fabulous. Fabulous. Take a look.
You've listened to a long and complex case, murder in the first degree. A premeditated murder is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You're faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I happen to have tickets to that ball game tonight. Yanks and Cleveland.
I tell you, we were lucky to get a murder case.
Even when it's an open and short case like this one. I mean, did you ever hear so much talk about nothing?
I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious from the word go.
He was born in a slum. Slums are breeding grounds for criminals. I know it, and so do you. Was Woody not guilty?
Boy, oh boy, there's always one.
Those two witnesses were the entire case for the prosecution. Supposing they're wrong.
Couldn't change my mind if you talk for 100 years.
But what does it mean?
The odds are 1,000,000 to 1.
It's possible.
But not very probable.
I mean, they're born liars.
Only an ignorant man can believe that.
We're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs.
Who tells you that you have the right to play like this with a man's life?
You can't send someone off to die on evidence like that.
He didn't change his vote. I did.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm convinced. Not guilty.
You lousy bunch of bleeding hearts.
It's also possible for a lawyer to be just plain stupid, isn't it? I mean, it's possible.
You sound like you met my brother-in-law once.
The great Henry Fonda. What a fabulous, fabulous movie. It should be required viewing in our judicial system. Jurors should see this. You should be part of, when you get called to jury duty, see this movie. End of story. It's Sidney Lumet. Classic. Four-star, easily. I have I love movies about Hollywood. This movie, the next movie, it's a musical. It's with arguably the greatest dancer of the last century, the great Gene Kelly, along with Fred Astaire. They were as good as anybody. This is Singing in the Rain with Debbie Reynolds, Donald O'Connor. It is a fabulous film about Hollywood and the coming of the sound era. I love it because it not only stands on its own as a great story about Hollywood, it has some of the greatest numbers in the history of cinema. And you need some of these kind of 1950s uplifting films to bring you joy, quite frankly. And this doesn't get any better than Singing in the Rain with the great Gene Kelly.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again. I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above. And the sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love. Let the stormy clouds chase everyone from the place. Come on with the rain, I've a smile on my face. I'll walk down the lane with a happy refrain, just singing in the rain.
That I could watch that forever. That is so so timeless. It's so beautiful and what we need right now. Singing in the Rain. It's what we have down here in Florida all the time. We're singing in the rain. We have another film about Hollywood that I absolutely adore. And Billy Wilder is one of our great directors, also screenwriters. He had a wide range, ladies and gentlemen. He did films like Lost Weekend. He did The Apartment. He did Some Like It Hot, which is a great film that should be on every great list. And the film we're talking about now for number, I think, what is this, number 9? 13, 12, 11, 10, 9 is Sunset Boulevard with Gloria Swanson, the great William Holden. You used to be big, didn't you? I am big. It's the pictures that got small. Take a look at this. This is one of the great films of all time about Hollywood. Know your craft. And let's see Billy Wilder in the fabulous in his film, one of his masterpieces, Sunset Boulevard.
I've made up my mind we'll bury him in the garden. Any city laws against that?
I wouldn't know.
I don't care anyway. I want the coffin to be white, and I want it specially lined with satin. White or deep pink. Maybe red, bright flaming red. Let's make it gay. How much will it be? I warn you, don't give me a fancy price just because I'm rich.
Lady, you got the wrong man. I had some trouble with my car, flat tire. I pulled into your garage until I could get a spare. I thought this was an empty house.
It is not. Get out.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry you lost your friend. And I don't think red is the right color. Wait a minute, haven't I seen you before? I know your face.
Get out, or shall I call my servant?
You're Norma Desmond. Used to be in silent pictures, used to be big.
I am big. It's the pictures that got small.
I knew there was something wrong.
They're dead. They're finished. There was a time in this business when they had the eyes of the whole wide world. But that wasn't good enough for them. Oh, no. They had to have the ears of the world, too. So they opened their big mouths, and out came talk. Talk, talk.
That's where the popcorn business comes in. You buy yourself a bag and plug up your ears.
Look at them in the front offices. The masterminds. They took the idols and smashed them. The Fairbankses, the Gilberts, the Valentinos. And who have we got now? Some nobody.
Don't blame me. I'm not an executive, just a writer.
You are. Writing words, more words. Well, you've made a rope of words and strangled this business. But there's a microphone right there to catch the last gurgles. And Technicolor to photograph the red swollen tongue.
You wake up the monkey.
Get out!
Words, more words. That is one of the iconic performances of all time. She did not win an Oscar, nor did Bette Davis for All About Eve the same year, if you can believe that. Judy Holiday won for Born Yesterday, I want to say. Is that right? We'll have to check that. Those of you playing at home, those of you can tell me who won 1950 Best Actress. Okay? Win a book from, a gift certificate from Bookstore One. They've got a great book over there, too, on directors. I just glanced at it. I'm going to bring it out next week. But please, anybody can tell me who won Best Actress. Give me the right name. Judy Holiday? Anyway, this is what happens when you get old, guys. This Greek got old, and another Greek that I love is Elia Kazan. It's one of my favorites. He came to this country. He did a number of great plays. A Streetcar Named Desire, that became a film with the great Vivien Leigh and the great Marlon Brando. But this film, one of the great films of all time, won 8 Oscars, if I'm not mistaken. In 1954, Marlon Brando. There's 2 schools of acting. There's before Brando and after Brando. This is after Brando, because this is Marlon Brando. Could have been a contender. One of the great scenes of all time. 1954, On the Waterfront with Lee J. Cobb, Rod Steiger, Eva Marie Saint. Doesn't get any better than this, guys. Number 8 on my list, I believe.
Wow.
kid, Daddy. How much you weigh, Slim? And you weighed 168 pounds. You were beautiful. You could have been another Billy Kahn. That skunk we got you for the manager, he brought you along too fast.
It wasn't him, Charlie. It was you. You remember that night in the garden? You came down my dressing room and said, "Kid, this ain't your night. We're going for the price on Wilson." You remember that? This ain't your night. My night. I could have taken Wilson apart. So what happens? He gets the title shot outdoors in a ballpark, and what do I get? A one-way ticket to Palookaville. You was my brother, Charlie. You should have looked out for me a little bit. You should have taken care of me just a little bit so I wouldn't have to take them dives for the short-end money.
Well, I had some bets down for you. You saw some money.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody. Instead of a bum, which is what I am. Let's face it. It was you, Charlie.
Okay. Now tell him we couldn't find you. Said nobody won't believe it.
That is as good as it gets, guys. And you know, there's two things that's really interesting from the list, from my list anyway. Brando's in two of the great scenes of all time. That's one of them. You know, Rod Steiger and him had this wonderful chemistry. Rod Steiger, the older brother, and Charlie. It's just, it doesn't get any better than Elia Kazan and that whole crew there. Carl Malden also from this film. 8 Oscars, 1954. Oh my God, what a list. The next film, I'm going to give you a little taste of it because we just screened this last couple weeks ago. One of my favorite biographies of all time. The reason I had to put a Jimmy Cagney, and I left films off of this list. Wizard of Oz. How do you do that? What kind of knucklehead does that? Me. I love that film. I can watch it on a loop. Zorba the Greek. Oh my God. I mean, you know, I'm a Greek and, you know, I'm Zorba in a way too. So I left that off. And there's John Ford. I left John Ford, How Green Was My Valley. But no, the one I really left off is The Grapes of Wrath, one of the great films, one of the great books of all time, made into a great film. But also some Westerns I left off. Oh my God, The Searchers, Please Forgive Me. Clint Eastwood. Jay was talking about, I don't have a lot of newer films in here. Probably would have put some of the great Clint Eastwood films, but they're in my top 100, so don't sue me. Let's go to Yankee Doodle Dandy with the great James Cagney for number 7.
Give my regards to Broadway. Remember me to Herald Square. Tell all the gang at 42nd Street that I will soon be there. Whisper of how I'm yearning to mingle with that old-time throng. Give my regards to old Broadway and say that I'll be there ere long. We'll give your regards to Broadway. Remember you to Herald Square. We'll tell all the gang at 42nd Street that you will soon be there. We'll whisper of how you're yearning to mingle with the old-time throng. We'll give
Yeah, you know, that clip can go on and on and on, and I can't stop watching. It's another film. Most of these films, if they're on, and I have work to do, other kind of work, I'm watching the film. Because I can't put these on, shushing. You know, it's really tough. You know, me, I love you and hate you at the same time for making me do this, because this is so hard to do. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is number 6. I said something earlier. If you're going to do jury duty, and one of our friends in the audience, I don't know if they're watching, Jack, who I found out something today, is Jack works down at Sarasota Trading Company, Sarasota State Auction, is related to Jimmy Stewart. I'm just shocked. And Jimmy Stewart, this film, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, anybody that goes to Congress and works, anybody that serves in our government, our body politic, watch this film. This is 1939, from the greatest year ever of Hollywood, with Frank Capra directing, Jimmy Stewart, Jean Arthur, Claude Rains, on and on and on. Thomas Mitchell. It's one of the greatest casts of all time. Take a look at the great Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
The gentleman will raise his right hand. Do you solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely without purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which you are about to enter? So help you God. So help you God.
I do. I know Jefferson Smith, and I will personally vouch for him.
There's been a big mistake.
Why don't you tell the people the truth for a change? You're not a senator. You're an honorary stooge.
This country is bigger than the Taylors, or you, or me, or anything else. Great principles don't get lost once they come to light. They're right here. You just have to see them. Somebody will listen to me.
That movie just tears me apart. Jimmy Stewart, I had the great honor of meeting him twice in my lifetime. And he was a 10 as an actor, and 11 as a human being, and one of the great Americans to live. He fought in World War II, flew missions over, bombing missions over Germany. And this is one of the great movie stars and one of the great actors of all time. Honor to meet him. I get choked up when I see that. And the two Jimmys back to back, Jimmy Cagney in Yankee Doodle Dandy and Jimmy Stewart. Never met a Jimmy I didn't like. Charlie Chaplin. What number is he? Number 5? How dare I do that? Number 5. This movie that we did this at Burns Court. And Mia, how many times did I play it? 7? I saw it 7 times, guys, over 2 days. I couldn't have been happier. I was like a pig in slop, and which is how I live. But this film was absolutely timeless. It is also silent, but it's not. The music is sublime. The script, it took him 3 years to make it. This is the 90-year anniversary. I dare you to see a better film. It's got one of the greatest last scenes in the history of cinema. It is a masterpiece. It is something that Andrew Ford puts on his walls over there at the gallery and sells at the auction. It belongs in a museum. If you are a film student, if you're a film enthusiast and you have not seen this film, then you need to see it if you're serious about what makes art and what makes cinema. This is as good as it gets. Charles Spencer Chaplin, 1931, with Virginia Sherrill. City Lights. Guys, I don't know where you see that film. Try to see it on a big screen. We'll try to do a film festival. We'll try to do a Charlie Chaplin Film Festival, possibly in the fall. I'd love to do that. 90 years old. It does not show any age. It is beautiful. Pathos. That's what separated this great man from all the other comedians, silent and otherwise. He had that ability to make you smile, laugh, and cry, and also think in a film. Just sublime, sublime work. Now, that was number 5. That was Orson Welles' favorite film. Orson Welles, who came to Hollywood, the Maverick, in 1941 and made a little film called Citizen Kane. It is number 4 on my all-time favorite list. It's really a tie. I have about 12 to 15 to 50 films that are all tied. Such a cop-out. But Citizen Kane is a perfect film. If you don't get it, if you think it's overrated, you need to watch it again, 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 and again, and again. Because it is a masterpiece. The screenwriting is sublime. It's Herman Mankiewicz, who shared an Oscar with, the only Oscar that Wells won for this was for screenwriting with Mankiewicz. Should have won a Best Actor Oscar. Should have won a Best Director Oscar. It is the Mercury Players. It is stunning work, not only because of the landmark things he did before everyone else, like 50 years before everyone else, the storytelling. It's all about the story. It's a great, great film. Cities, I'll be all right. Citizen Kane, 1941, Charles Foster Kane. Let's take a look.
Here's a man that could have been president, who was as loved and hated and as talked about as any man in our time. But when he comes to die, he's got something on his mind called Rosebud. Now, what's that mean?
You people seem to forget that I'm the boy's father.
It's going to be done exactly the way I told Mr. Thatcher.
You take Mr. Kane. It wasn't money he wanted. Thatcher never did figure him out. Sometimes even I couldn't.
He is today what he has always been, and always will be, a Thatcherist.
Now in complete control of the government of this state. I made no campaign promises.
I'm going to 185 West 74th Street.
Your husband's only trying to be funny. Call him.
Don't worry about me. I'm Charles Foster Kane.
What do you care? You don't care about anything except you. You just want to persuade people that you love them so much that they ought to love you back.
You don't love me. You want me to love you. Sure. I'm Charles Foster Kane. Whatever you want, just name it and it's yours. But you gotta love me.
Mr. Kane was a man who got everything he wanted and then lost it. I don't think any word can explain a man's life.
It's number 4 on my favorite list of films of all time, but it's still the greatest film of all time. See, I'm fooling you. It's still, listen to me. I'm ashamed of myself for putting it at 4, but I'll make it up. Greatest romantic film of all time, bar none. There is no other. If you want to score points with your wife's family, or you want to, just show that you're a hopeful and hopeless romantic, There's nothing better than Casablanca. 1942, it's Ingrid and it's Bogey, and it's in a place called Casablanca with a cast of characters. Michael Curtiz is the director, the same man who directed Yankee Doodle Dandy. It's one of my favorite directors. Warner Brothers, great picture. Best picture, 1942. It doesn't get any better than this as time goes by. Casablanca, 1942. Number 3 on my list, if you can believe it.
Louis, have your man go with Mr. Laszlo and take care of his luggage.
Certainly, Rick. Anything you say. Find Mr. Laszlo's luggage and put it on the plane.
Yes, sir. This way, please. If you don't mind, you fill in the names. That'll make it even more official.
You think of everything, don't you?
And the names are Mr. and Mrs. Victor Laszlo.
But why my name, Richard?
Because you're getting on that plane.
I don't understand. What about you?
I'm staying here with him till the plane gets safely away.
No, Richard, no. What has happened to you last night?
Last night we said a great many things. You said I was to do the thinking for both of us. Well, I've done a lot of it since then. It all adds up to one thing. You're getting on that plane with Victor where you belong.
But, Richard, no,
Now, you've got to listen to me. You have any idea what you'd have to look forward to if you stayed here? 9 chances out of 10, we'd both wind up at a concentration camp. Isn't that true, Louis?
I'm afraid Major Strasser would insist.
You're saying this only to make me go.
I'm saying it because it's true. Inside of us, we both know you belong with Victor. You're part of his work, the thing that keeps him going. If that plane leaves the ground and you're not with him, you'll regret it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon and for the rest of your life.
But what about us?
We'll always have Paris. We didn't have, we lost it until you came to Casablanca. We got it back last night.
When I said I would never leave you.
And you never will. But I've got a job to do, too. Where I'm going, you can't follow. What I've got to do, you can't be any part of. Ilsa, I'm no good at being noble, but it doesn't take much to see that the problems of 3 little people don't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world. Someday you'll understand that. Now. He's looking at you, kid.
See that film, see it on the big screen, and it's just magic. It's Hollywood magic. It doesn't get any better. The music is stunning. I talk, people talk about scores to films. As time goes by, it's such an iconic piece of work, but that music, Max Steiner is did the score, Michael Curtiz I mentioned, but those 2 people, the only film they ever made together. And they were going to do a remake. Thank God they didn't. I don't believe in remakes. I don't believe in sequels. Although the next film tied at number 2, because I'm not going to split up my Godfathers. I'm not going to have them split up. Godfather 1 and Godfather 2. Films collectively I've probably seen 150 times each. Godfather 2 and 1 tied for 2. I give a little edge to 1, and I'll tell you why. Marlon Brando's in it, okay? So that's the thing. Michael's in it, which is Pacino, the great cast of characters. This is from 2. This is the great John Cassell, who died very young. And this is Michael, which played brilliantly by Al Pacino. From 1974, the 74 Best Picture, Godfather 2, with Fredo and his brother, Michael.
So, Mazzini will move against you first. He'll set up a meeting with someone that you absolutely trust, guaranteeing your safety. And at that meeting, you'll be assassinated. I like to drink wine more than I used to. Anyway, I'm drinking more.
It's good for you, Bob.
I don't know. Your wife and children, are you happy with them?
Very happy.
That's good. I hope you don't mind the way I keep going over this Bassini business.
No, not at all.
It's an old habit. I spend my life trying not to be careless. Women and children can be careless, but not men. How's your boy? He's good. You know, he looks more like you every day.
He's smarter than I am. 3 years old, he can read the funny papers.
Read the funny papers. I want you to arrange to have a telephone man check all the calls that go. You know,
I did it already, Pop.
You know, could be
Pop,
anyone.
I took care of that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
What's the matter? What's bothering you? I'll handle it. I told you I can handle it. I'll handle it.
I knew that Santina was gonna have to go through all this. And Fredo. Oh. Fredo was. Oh. And I never wanted this for you. I worked my whole life. I don't apologize to take care of my family. And I refused to be a fool. Dancing on the string held by all those big shots. I don't apologize, that's my life, but I thought that when it was your time that you would be the one to hold the strings. Senator Corleone, Governor Corleone, something.
Another Pesanovanta.
Oh. This wasn't enough time, Michael. Wasn't enough time.
We'll get there, Pop. We'll get there.
Now listen, whoever comes to you with this Barzini meeting, he's a traitor. Don't forget that.
Anybody I know in Havana? I don't know. Hyman Roth? Johnny Ola?
No. I never met them. Kind of nervous from the trip. Can I get a drink or something?
I thought maybe we'd go out together. I know a place we can spend some time together. Okay?
Mikey, I was mad at you.
Johnny Ola told me about this place. He brought me here. I didn't believe it, but seeing is believing, huh? I see it, and I still don't believe it. $50, Pat. Old man Roth had never come here, but old Johnny knows these places like the back of his hand. Now watch him. He's gonna break this cracker.
Break a cracker? I want to see you break a brick.
There's a plane waiting for us to take us to Miami in an hour. Don't make a big thing about it. I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart. You broke my heart.
That, of course, was 2, and 1 started it with Marlon Brando in the garden with Michael, and then Michael with his brother, John Cassell, Fredo. Oh, I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart. Guys, it doesn't get any better. These films are joys. They're jewels. They're American jewels. They happen to be American films. I have, in our next, when we do this, when we go wide, I have some films like Coming Home 2014, some of my favorite films. It's an Asian film, a Chinese film. But this is as good as American cinema as it's ever going to be. I don't care what technologies to come. You just, it's magic. It all happens. Filmmaking is magic, and making any art is magic. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I love doing this show. I hope to do it and hope to keep making films, and I got exciting things happening. I'm going to do a book. Not going to be a political book. I'm going to do another political book, but I'm going to do a movie book. I'm going to do a movie book, and it's going to probably be called something like 19,000 Films I Love and Hope You Do Too. You know, they're all tied for #1 or something like that, or bucket list, or, you know, that's a cop-out. But I love film. I love cinema. Probably, though, if you had to ask, I asked my mom today. She happened to call me. And I go, Mom, what's my favorite film? She goes, oh, Gus, you get 50 favorite films. I go, Mom, who knows me better than you? Who knows me? Whatever, you know what I mean. And she said, yeah. She said this film. And it's Frank Capra, when he looked through that camera hole when he was starting in Hollywood. This is the film he wanted to make, and I'm glad he made it. It's 1946. It's Jimmy Stewart. Again, I met him twice. I was honored and blessed to meet him twice. Donna Reed is in this. Lionel Barrymore. It is one of the great casts of all time. Thomas Mitchell. It's a Wonderful Life. 1946. Please enjoy this as we go out with Gus's favorite film. It's the film that, you know, hopefully everyone sees, and sees not only at Christmas time, but remember that your life means something and impacts the impact that it has. We'll see you guys at the movie. Let's take a look at the great Jimmy Stewart.
Look, who are you? I told you, George, I'm your guardian angel.
What is it you want, Barry? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Welcome home, Mr. Bailey.
Sentimental hogwash. I wish I had $1 million. Mr. and Mrs. Martini, welcome home.
This is what I wished for.
You see, George, you really had a wonderful life.